Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, as much as this is not the best timing, right? Because everything's happening, it feels like all at once. At the same time, even though the NFL is a little bit distracting, just after so long, we actually have football back. This is still, hopefully going to live up to the billing. I'm not going to lie. Like, as you guys could feel yesterday, I'm sure through the screen, I was expecting an epic and we didn't quite get it between Amanda and Arina Sabalenka. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to do a very quick short preview of what I expect to be an epic, because there are two core factors that I think are going to decide the outcome of this match. And we'll talk about betting first, just to set the stage. Jannik is the favorite. He's a more aggressive favorite than honestly even I expected, especially given that we don't necessarily know exactly how he's feeling with his abdominal muscle. Simone Vagnozzi did an interview yesterday, did a scrum interview where he's like, yeah, no, it's no problem. Jannik did an interview after the match, his press conference, like, yeah, that's not a problem. And as much as he wouldn't tell us if it was, they wouldn't be like, yeah, going to be maybe 50% today. I do think more likely than not, we're going to get, especially at the beginning, we'll see if the match goes in a certain direction, if Carlos plays brilliantly, if Carlos is able to make it super physical, which we'll return to in a minute. Jannik may start to show signs of, fatigue and issues with the stomach. Maybe he takes a medical timeout. But I think at the beginning, we're going to get two ravenously hungry players. And again, I think this match is really close to 50-50 because, as you guys know, Carlos won 5 straight going into Wimbledon. Most of those were either on slow clay, right? We had Rome, we had Roland Garros the year before, where Jannik destroyed him in the first set and kind of faded as the match went along. Jannik also didn't have great preparation for that tournament. He had the hip injury and he was sick in bed for a week prior to that match. Indian Wells is, very gritty, hard court, completely different from this one, much higher bouncing, better for Carlos's kick serve, et cetera, et cetera. And I just think the dynamic of those 5 matches, heavier balls, slower court generally, even though it is a hard court in Beijing, Carlos was basically favored in terms of surface speed, which I think is the biggest factor in this matchup. This is indoors because we have rain in the area. We have a primacy, even more than usual, a primacy placed on the first serve. And if Jannik was serving at his usual level of rhythm on the serve, I would say not only should Jannik be the favorite, like I would not bet Carlos here, but we've gotten clearly and unequivocally a better serving performance from Carlos Alcaraz thus far in this tournament. He has shown not only on the serve, but especially on the serve, the most solidity, the most reliability. He's only served under 60% one time in the tournament, whereas Jan has only served in excess of 60% one time. So when you combine that with the odds and with the general dynamics that are going on here, obviously I think, like I said, it's close to 50-50, but given the betting odds give Jannik a huge benefit of the doubt, which he more than deserves. He's won the last 3 majors on this surface. I think in this particular spot, the only thing that I would look at betting pre-match, meaning before we start, is Carlos to win. Because we don't know with the health dynamics. Again, I think it will be fine for Jannik. But as the match goes along, especially if Carlos starts well, how much will Jannik be able to give? How much will he be able to serve to stave off Carlos's intense pressure? And as much as Charlie didn't make the best decisions, like he kept trying to go behind Novak, try to fool Novak last match instead of just, using his youth and power advantage, especially on the forehand side, try to go behind him. It's like, don't try to fool Novak. This is the situation where you just play to your strengths. And Carlos has done a brilliant job of that prior to the Novak match. I just think that you put that in a special category. He sees Novak, especially after the gold medal final last year, in a separate category where guy has won 24 majors, guy has won 2 golden masters, the guy has won a gold medal now. There's an element of playing Novak that is in a separate category for Charlie, I think. And as much as he reveres Sinner as a rival, they're still on the same plane, whereas Novak is in a category unto himself. I think Carlos has shown such a hunger in this tournament and such a controlled aggression with his forehand. Because the key is, as you guys know, if it's a battle of movie titles for me, it's the Terminator against everything, everywhere, all at once. And I think Jannik might be slightly less than his Terminator best today. And as much as Carlos is going to have to serve brilliantly to have a chance to win, I expect him to do so. I think Carlos, the tilt, and as it always is with these amazing rivalries, the tilt mentally in terms of the hunger, the willingness to have his get back after he lost something that is dear to him, right? There's a certain prestige, a certain cachet, a certain gravitas that goes with, he was the Wimbledon champion for 24 months. And Jannik played brilliantly, took advantage of Carlos' second serve. It's another thing that Carlos has been doing very well in the tournament. He's been locating his second serve. It was just a situation where combined, it felt like Jan was going to win at Wimbledon, and I feel the opposite today. But we'll see. Hopefully everybody's ready. There's no doubt that I would actually amend that a little bit. Generally, indoor would favor Sinner, and quiet crowd, which apparently there are huge lines out the door, so the crowd hasn't quite filed in yet. Generally, that would favor Sinner, but you have to ask, right? In terms of control, consistency, and just general serve accuracy, who has been better in this tournament, right? As I mentioned, Charlie has. Indoors favors the better, more accurate, more in rhythm server. And generally, I completely agree with you, that is Jan. But in this tournament, it's been Charlie. So that's the dynamic where, to your point, if we get the version of Jannik Sinner who has shown up on hard courts the vast majority of the time for the last 18 to 24 months, undeniably, you're correct. It does favor Jan. But if we're taking just current form, I would say it doesn't favor him as much as it usually would. But the lack of crowd, a little bit of awkwardness, apparently they're not quite in there yet. That favors Jan. Jan is just so good no matter what mentally. He's rock solid, but he prefers it to be calm, whereas Charlie prefers the opposite, right? Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more, Mel. To be honest with you, I think a lot of people were surprised that Jannik got as close as he did and played as brilliantly as he did in Rome. I wasn't surprised at all. Actually, a lot of people were like, I don't know what we're going to see. I'm like, this guy prepares when he's healthy, as well as a human being can prepare for anything. He will be ready. He will give his best. Now, he ran out of gas, and Charlie was, I thought, phenomenal in that final in Rome. But, the level of performance he put on, and again, as you know, I don't know if you've been here for a while, for me, the main thing has been the movement differential is what makes Jannik so unbeatable. In addition to, the consistency of his serve, his ability to hit over every return, seemingly almost never block a return, hit him back accurately, including on quality first serves. But the hard court dominance, I thought, was fueled by his greater comfortability on hard court. In my opinion, he has raised his level hugely in movement and defensive capability as a result on the natural surfaces this year. And that's the main reason I thought that he came so close and really, 99% of the time wins that final on Châtrier. So forgive me for a long intro, but ready to go. Good to see everybody again.